Hi there, Ashley L. Jones here, author of Modern Cast Iron. And as you know by now, I'm working on a new book called Skilletheads. And this is all about the collecting and restoration of cast iron cookware. And so I'm interviewing the pros who know. And today I have with me Stephen Muscarella of Field Company. He is one of the founders. So I'm very excited to have you today, Stephen. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
And I was just commenting that I love your background. It's like all of the folks we talk about and we talk with about cast iron, there's always some in the background, no matter what room they're in.
I started going with my Julia Child's pegboard sort of workshop kitchen methodology 3 or 4 years ago, and I've managed to maintain it from space to space. So
it works.
It's lovely. It's smart.
Yes, she knew what she was doing, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
Okay, so you and your brother Chris founded Field Company, and we said about 2015 is when it came about. Okay, first of all, what's with the name Field Company? Where did that come from?
Actually, a family name.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, we basically looked at our grandparents and we're like, well, we got Muscarella, Thane, Bergen, or Field.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah.
And that was kind of a no-brainer. And then, you know, there's lots of other nice tie-ins to it. It just so happens that we're really close with most of our Field relatives, and some of our aspirations around, you know, maybe having a farmer one day is based on going up to these places where our fields were. You know, and I think, you know, we kind of make a lot of puns about, you know, field trips and anything can happen in a field. And, you know, I think it's like a field is a, you know, a location, and, you know, so just sort of all came together really nicely. It was sort of a instantaneous, like, oh yeah, there we go.
I like that. So do you have a history of cast iron in your family then? Did you use it or see it, you know, when you were a kid growing up?
Yeah, you know, I think definitely had it. I think that growing up, it was sort of in its sort of lower phase, where actually my mom had some pans that I think that her mom gave to her, which were probably wedding gifts that she had gotten. And my mom got them. And of course, at this stage in history and technology, she was just using Teflon and other garbage cookware. And, you know, but of course, when I go off to my first apartment, she goes, oh, I've got these nice pans here.
Oh, nice.
And so, yeah, I inherited a small block Griswold number 10, which was a beautiful user pan, and a 3-notch Lodge number 7, which was fine. And my brother got a sort of a late 50s Wagner number 8 that he used a bunch.
Wow. Okay, so there was some affection for cast iron cookware. How did you two turn that into, let's start a cast iron manufacturing company? When did that happen?
That happened because we're sort of this crazy combination of brothers, where my, you know, Christopher's a hardcore entrepreneur. He's been starting businesses since he was 16. And so he always has his ear out for something cool that could, you know, might be kind of a fun project to get into. And I was building furniture and doing some cool leather work, and I ended up kind of falling into a group of friends that were really into old stuff, and old nice stuff. And you know, the other backdrop for this video was like, well, I could kind of show the woodworking setup or wherever.
Nice. Nice.
And so, yeah, I was like getting into antique tools just in general, and learning what really high quality things felt like, and how they were made, and where they were made, and how they were used. And cast iron cookware was one of those things. And my brother is a passionate cook. I've always enjoyed eating, and I've become a great chef through this company, really, because you know, I don't know, how can you not, basically.
Right.
And so, yeah, he was just in the kitchen one day. He just bought himself a larger number 10 standard Lodge cast iron pan, which is, on the record, a perfectly fine product. But he just is like, why is this not anywhere close to what our mom gave us? And at that point, I had already kind of been talking to my friends and looking into it a little bit. And they're like, well, they just don't machine them anymore. They don't take the care they don't really take the extra step in the manufacturing anymore. They're kind of just trying to knock them out for a good price and, basically cost engineer them. And that's how Lodge survived. So I can't really blame them.
You can't fault that, right?
All the other companies went out of business. So here's Lodge, and they're still crushing it. So
yes.
So that's cool, but it's not as nice. And when you get really into cooking and you start really wanting to dial in your gear, you kind of want to have the nice version of something. And so I said, well, we could make them. And timing was right. He was just ending something. I was sort of looking for to jump into something big like that, and so we just went for it.
Wow.
Spent just a year just trying to build, research, build a storyline, and eventually went to Kickstarter with it.
Now, I've been talking to several manufacturers, and a lot of them say something similar to what you've said. Well, we love the old vintage, but we wanted to put our own stamp on it. We wanted to make it our own. We wanted to make it better. From everything I've seen, Field Company is the most vintage style of all the cast iron that's out there today. You guys have kept it closer to home in terms of comparing it to an old Wagner, an old Griswold. It looks more the same. And I just find that very interesting that you guys said, I love it, let's make it again, instead of I love it, let's change it. So how important was that to you guys? I mean, is that kind of what you set out to do, was let's keep it as similar as possible and put our stamp on it, our name on it, but kind of leave it the same?
The design principle is basically that cast iron cookware has gone through 2 to 3 centuries of its current form of iteration to arrive at its form. And I don't think you can argue with that too much. And so, I think my thinking and my brother's thinking was not to mess up what was already so amazing, and only to tweak what we thought could use improvement. And we could do that because of 2 things. One, just research, and and this spans not just cast iron, but like my woodworking tools and all the tools I own that are hand tools. Is you just, after a while, you generate a sense of what's good and what's not. And even if it's old, sometimes you can see, I've seen a different old version that's better. And so you see that in the pans, and you hold tons of them and you cook with tons of them, and you end up with a few things that you're like, yeah, this could be better. The length of the handle is a little stubby on most of them, and I think that we added just the right amount of length. So that there, for example, pour spouts are a part that we didn't add because it's modern manufacturing, and that's just sort of like a crazy extra cost and an aesthetic thing that would have been 2 different surface finishes there. And when we use the old ones, we realize they don't really work. It's really just they drip just as bad as anything, because it's really not the pour spout, it's the top of the rim that matters. So yeah, we basically studied the weights. Felt that the weight was a really important component, because one of the things you notice when you have an antique pan and then you have a Lodge or just a generic kind of heavy pan, you never reach for the heavy pan. The heavy pan just sits around somewhere, and then one day you have too much food, so you got to use it. But the one you grab every single time is the one that feels right in your hand. And that's something that was really, really a key piece. And part of our DNA these days is like, well, we know we got it right when we stopped reaching for the old Wagner and started using ours.
That's a very good point, and a very good part to be at in your life cycle of a company. That's pretty amazing to know that you can reach for your own product over something that's been such a a go-to in the market. That's
Right.
pretty cool. Okay, let's see one. I know you've got one right there. Let's everybody else have a look at this puppy. Okay, so first things first. Yeah, let's look at the bottom. So is there a heat ring on this thing?
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we've got a heat ring. We've got your field company. There we go. The field company logo, your name.
Yeah.
And one of the big things about you guys is you go by the old number system. So this
Yeah.
is a number 8 pan that you're looking at there.
Yeah. Yeah. We, again, that was one of those, it was sort of a tough call because now it leads to confusion where, a lot of our competitors call their pans their diameter. And then when you look at the price, you're like, oh, wow, they're cheaper. It's like, well, it's a smaller pan.
Right.
But I
Right.
think that, we just, like you said, we kind of had it in our DNA, and yeah, it just felt like, I don't know, maybe we were sentimental or nostalgic. There's definitely a little bit of that going on, and that's how it just felt like the right thing to do.
I think that's not a bad way to go, because
Yeah.
people who want to pay good money for a good pan are doing so for a lot of it's health reasons, a lot of it's because they like the feel of it, but then there's that sentimentality to it. So I think a lot of people will like reaching for a number 8 pan like grandma had. I think that's cool. So you've got a tab helper handle there at the top.
Yep.
So that helps us hold on to it. And
Yep.
then your main handle, it has that regular attachment, or I call it regular, like it's not forked like so many of the modern companies have.
Yeah.
It's got regular, but it's a slightly different. I mean, it's not Lodge. It's obviously not Lodge. It definitely seems unique to you guys, but it still has that old-fashioned look to it. Is that about how you would describe it?
Yeah, I would describe it as one of our, design principles is classic. We have a classical sensibility with just enough sexiness to keep you interested.
I like it. I like it. And so I've been doing some price comparison, and I'm just kind of comparing a lot of different things. So your 10 1/4 inch skillet, which is just the one that I pulled up, is $145, and the weight is 4.5 pounds. So that puts you about in the middle in terms of price, actually kind of on the lower end in terms of price of these modern companies, not considering Lodge. I mean, Lodge beats everybody economically, but you
Yeah.
guys are doing a lot more handwork on yours. So you're about in the middle in terms of price, and the weight is almost the lowest. So you guys have really been able to get that lower weight in there. How are you doing this? I read that you're doing green sand casting.
Mhm.
Okay. And I had read somewhere that was not done anymore. Not just not done, but like not allowed anymore. Like something about the sand. Tell me how did you come about doing green sand casting, and how that's different than regular sand casting? And does that help you get that thinner weight, or how does it all come together there?
Green sand casting is the most cost-effective casting methodology. And it's the most widely used. It's just that it's the most cost-effective and the most widely used, and it's similar to how old pans would have been made.
Okay. So when people are saying sand casting and green sand casting, are they saying the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's different types of sand casting you can do.
Okay.
Different types of sand even. But green sand casting is sort of it's kind of the industry standard for a cost-effective way to make castings.
Okay.
And we chose green sand casting because one, it resembled what how the old pans were made, and in our early days, it was cost prohibitive to go with any other method. I think Bud or Pat uses a different method. I'm pretty sure they use a wax molding or something like this. And
I'm not sure if they do, but I know that Marquette uses
yeah,
lost wax, the
yeah,
investment lost wax
yeah. There's investment
process.
casting and lost
Mhm.
wax, and those
Uh-huh.
are different
Very
ways,
special.
cool ways. From what I haven't like looked at hundreds of those pans, but I've seen single examples, and what I
Mhm.
see is they all have the same amount of pain in the asses, or sorry, pain in the butt way
Yes.
as I had to deal with to get to where I got. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we're happy where we're at with our process. So
Well,
to
it's a beautiful pan, and I will mention. Do you know who Cowboy Kent Rollins is?
going to see him tomorrow.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
now I'm jealous.
yeah. We're gonna go hang out with him on Saturday. Actually, I think in North Carolina.
Ugh, all
Yeah.
right. Yeah, now I'm jealous. So he was kind enough to endorse Modern Cast Iron, and he is doing a contribution to Skillet Heads. And I asked him what were his favorite vintage and modern brands. And he listed 3 modern brands, and Field was one of them. And I thought that that was a huge endorsement to your product from someone. If I mean, maybe viewers don't know who they are, but go check out Cowboy Kent Rollins, because he's like the chuck wagon cook of our day,
Yeah.
and cooks so much with cast iron, and a lot of it's outdoors. And so I just thought that was a big endorsement of your product right there.
Yeah, we've loved we've felt really proud to have that endorsement, and haven't really been able to run him down for a couple of years, but we're really pumped to go spend some time with him.
Well, he's got a
And,
lot going on over there
yeah,
right
just
now.
get to know him a little bit more, see what this, and yeah, chat with him, because it's just fun. It's a small world in the end of the
It
day.
is. Yeah, yeah, it
So,
totally is. Well, okay, where are you manufacturing these pans? Because you've got Indiana, Illinois, and Wisconsin listed on your website. So are you piecemealing it, or are you certainly you don't have 3 different places you're doing everything in. So how does that work with all 3 states?
yeah, most of us all have to use a foundry
Mhm,
to make the casting, and then a machine shop
mhm.
to mill this, or CNC on a lathe, actually,
Uh-huh.
the surface to get it smooth, and to take out some of the weight. And then you have to do the coatings process, and then there's fulfillment.
Okay, so what do you where's your home base?
Our home office is still in Brooklyn, New York.
Ah, okay. So if we
COVID,
had to put you on a map, which I am putting all the companies on a map, where would you have us put
I
you?
guess
Where?
I guess you'd have to put our HQ in Brooklyn.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, Dumbo. We're still in Dumbo.
Okay,
I think the pandemic has screwed everything up in terms of any kind of relocation efforts.
well,
So
sure,
by
sure,
default, we're still there.
sure.
And
Well, you
uh,
guys are close to Burrow Furnace then.
Borough's up a couple hours outside of the city.
Okay, couple.
Yeah, still in New York.
Very
Um,
cool. Now,
we're actually right next door to Brooklyn Copper Cookware, which I made friends with Mac, who's the owner of that, and that's some pretty cool stuff. So maybe when you want to start a saute heads book, you can,
I love it.
or a copper heads book, you can get.
Copperhead. Oh, goodness. My husband wants me to write fiction from now on. There's a lot to learn about cast iron. It's not what it seems to be. And I think anyone who has dipped their toe into it realizes there's so much. There's so much. So that's why I'm always curious, how do people get started in this, and how are you not scared off? Because it's a lot
It
involved.
is a
And
lot. It is a lot. It
yeah,
helps to have a partner. I don't know. I don't know. I think that everyone else has had other people involved with their, it's, yeah.
yeah, I
It-
couldn't imagine doing it by myself.
yeah,
And
kind of need, yeah, multi-dimensional skill
yeah.
set. So,
Now, have you ever gotten in there and like poured the iron yourself, wore the silver suit and got in there and done it? Or is this one of those things that, you come up with all the ideas and then you let the experts do the the pull.
In our year of research and development, we contacted or just got in touch with a Polish professor of cast iron and after talking to him a few times, like, hey, can you even make this stuff the way they used to make it? And sending him some pans to Poland, and he was like, oh yeah, sure, no problem, basically. And he was like, if you want to come make some, just you can come out. We'll spend a week and we'll make them. And so I was like,
wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I jumped on a plane and brought a couple vintage pans, and we spent the week kind of hand packing some molds and sand, basically do a handmade sand casting.
Yeah.
And we tried couple different techniques based on his design around the fineness of the sand and the way that it gated and screwed and stuff like that. And then we came up with a few inoculant mixes to like mix the iron in a way that would make it flow just right. And I wasn't wearing the suit, although there is a like kind of a Michael Jackson picture of me wearing the suit, but I did not pour the iron.
It's just unbelievable what goes into it and how many small differences can be with companies that are essentially making the same product, but it's so not the same product. But that's awesome. What an adventure to go to Poland to.
Yeah, that was cool.
That cast iron.
That was like, all right, let's see what's going on with this thing. And then we made a couple pieces, and they weren't that impressive, but it sort of got us going.
Right, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so about how long or over how many hours or days does it take to make a field skillet?
If from a supply chain perspective, I would say, basically a week at the foundry, a week at the machine shop, and a week at seasoning. From a single pan perspective, the castings get poured by the hundreds for us, and they kind of are all batch processed. And
that's good.
Those land at the machine shop, and they get spun in the CNC lathe, and that's no more than 10 minutes on that. And then seasoning is batch processing too, so it's kind of hard to say. It's not something you would make one of, let's just put it that way.
Right. Yeah, everyone's told me it is hard to calculate that sort of thing, and it's a matter of days or weeks, like you said, if you're going to transport it from state to state.
The amount of amount of time someone's holding this thing and making it, or just sort of focusing individually on a pan. It probably gets about a minute, or call it a minute at the foundry of total time. Someone looks at it, sees it's not messed up, puts a grind on it, and then puts it in a box.
Wow.
And there's a whole cleaning process, so it might be more like a minute and a half. And then the machine shop, same thing. Someone looks at it, sees that it's good, the grind's good, the casting's good, throws it in the lathe. So I'd call that 10 minutes max. It's probably more closer to 5, and then probably another 5 minutes over at seasoning. So yeah, I mean, really like 15 minutes, I guess, to make a pan by some measure. But
now in terms of your catalog, you have 5 skillets that range. They're the number 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12, which range from 6 3/4 inches to 13 inches. You have the lids, which is wonderful. A lot of manufacturers don't have all the lids, and you have a 4.5 quart Dutch oven, and that's made in the U.S. here too, right? Wonderful. Okay, so you have a nice catalog.
Watched a griddle.
Oh, okay.
Off the press.
Oh, I saw that on your website. That is nice.
That's a fun one that just came out.
That's nice. Pancakes, perfect for pancakes.
Yeah, anything you want to get in with a spatula,
Yeah.
The sidewall screw you over.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're trying to flip something.
Yeah, when you want a griddle with a regular skillet, you have to use the number 12 because you can't reach the sides.
Wow, that is really nice. I'll have to add that. Okay, so what's next for Field Company? What are you thinking? Are you introducing new styles, new or just expanding?
Yeah, we got a few more cast iron things up our sleeve that feel like great ads. And yeah, I don't know if I should tell you those.
You don't have to. You don't have to. You can just allude that there's more to come, which is great.
Yeah, I think we've got another, I want to say 1 year, but it might take me 2 years of to
Sure.
get the rest of my cast iron,
Yeah.
like the main stuff before I start going into fun things.
Yeah.
And I also, like I sort of mentioned, I've been a woodworker for a short bit of time, and so I have a desire to make some things out of wood for the company. I don't know how I'm going to manufacture it and create something I'm super proud of. I can give you a hot take though on something I am really proud of.
All
right. These, I just made some really nice oven mitts actually.
Oh.
So, these are literally being completed in production right now.
Oh, that's it. What are they made out of? Is that leather?
Yeah, we got a full grain leather like surface here, kind of
Yeah.
like a baseball mitt, and it's suede on the back.
Wow.
And then there's some insulation batting in there, and they basically like custom mold to your hand when you use them. They're quite nice. I'm really thrilled with these. These are sort of the first thing that we've done that basically took the same amount of care as we did on the pans to get this thing right. So
Sure.
so you'll see these pretty soon.
Very cool. Yeah, and that's very important when you have a pan that can get that hot. You have to have proper helper handle holding.
Yeah, it's nice, and with the Dutch ovens too.
Yeah,
that's kind of a thing. And
yeah, you have to. Okay, now where can people find Field Company products? I know on your website, which is fieldcompany.com. And then are you in stores as well?
we are. We've got our stockist listed on the website. If you're trying to make a local rendezvous. Our biggest stocker right now is Duluth Trading Company.
Okay.
And yeah, we are sort of keen to add some more wholesalers to the list. So if any of y'all are up there, drop us a line and
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, hey, Kent Rollins endorsed it, so it's good.
So we're good we're good in all the southwestern countries or sorry, states.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, I love Field Company. I like that it's that it retains that vintage style and that nostalgia, and I just think that really helps carry that history forward, not just a skillet, but all the history and meaning behind the skillet. I think that's just really neat. So I love it. Everybody go check out Field Company. I'll put the link in the URL or in the bottom here, so everybody can go and check you out and get their Christmas started, right?
Yeah, it's Christmas.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Stephen. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to getting all this information laid out in Skillethead so everyone can see it in print.
Cool. Yeah, looking forward to seeing how that all turns out for you. That'll be cool.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yep.